Hey, welcome. There's this incredible, totally invisible process that happens inside you, about 20,000 times a day. And it's pretty much the only reason you're alive right now. So, yeah, I think it's worth taking a closer look. Let's dive in.
So, have you ever actually stopped to think about it? I mean, really think about it. Every 4 seconds or so, like clockwork, your body takes a breath. You don't even have to tell it to. It's just this automatic, relentless thing. But why? What's the big deal? Why this constant, urgent need for air? It's a fantastic question, and the answer? Well, it's hidden deep inside your trillions of cells.
Okay, so it all boils down to one thing: energy. It's this huge problem that every living thing has to solve. See, your body is basically in a constant battle to produce enough energy just to keep the lights on. And that's where we get to the heart of it.
And look, we're not talking about a small demand here. Your body, it's like this bustling metropolis made of trillions of cells. Trillions. And every single one of them, whether it's a neuron firing in your brain or a muscle cell in your leg, is its own little factory. And what do factories need? A constant supply of fuel to keep running.
And this is the chemical reaction that powers the whole shebang. It's called cellular respiration. Basically, your cells take the food you eat, stuff like glucose, and they use oxygen to burn it and unlock all that sweet energy. But there's a catch. This whole process creates a waste product, something kind of toxic, carbon dioxide. So now you've got a two-part problem, right? You've got to get the good stuff, oxygen, in, and you've got to get the bad stuff, carbon dioxide, out, constantly.
So how on earth does the body solve this massive logistical problem? Well, let's do this. Let's follow a single breath of air on its incredible journey from the outside world deep, deep into the center of your chest. All right, so the air comes in through your nose or mouth and whoosh, it heads down your trachea. That's your windpipe. From there, it splits into two big branches called the bronchi, one for each lung. And then it just keeps splitting and splitting. These branches get smaller and smaller and smaller, turning into thousands of tiny little airways called bronchioles. The best way to picture it? It's literally like an upside-down tree. The trachea is the trunk, and the bronchioles are the tiniest, most delicate twigs spreading out through your entire lungs. And if we follow those tiniest twigs all the way to the end, that's where we find our destination. This is the place where the real magic happens. It's the spot where the outside world finally gets to meet your bloodstream. And when I say this is where the action is, I mean it. It's happening on a massive scale. Your lungs, they're not just empty balloons, okay? They're jam-packed with something like 300 million of these microscopic little air sacs. They're called alveoli. I mean, just think about that number. It's absolutely enormous. And it's all for one reason: maximizing surface area. These alveoli are just perfectly engineered for this one single job: swapping gases. Check this out. First, you have that huge surface area we just talked about that gives tons of space for the exchange to happen. Second, their walls are impossibly thin. We're talking just 1 cell thick. That makes for a super short commute for the gases. Third, they have this moist lining, which is crucial because gases actually have to dissolve before they can cross the barrier. And finally, they're basically shrink-wrapped in this dense network of tiny blood vessels, just waiting to snatch up that oxygen and get it moving.
Okay, so we've got the stage set, we've got the players in position. Now, it's time for the main event, the great gas exchange. This is it. This is that silent, totally effortless little miracle that keeps you going second by second every single day.
And the crazy thing is, this whole process is driven by a super simple law of physics called diffusion. Think about it like this. If you're baking biscuits, that amazing smell doesn't just hang out in the kitchen, right? No way. It naturally spreads out from where it's strongest, the oven, to where it's weakest, until the whole house smells delicious. Well, gases do the exact same thing. They just can't help themselves.
Now, in our bodies, we measure this concentration of gases using a term called partial pressure. But the principle is identical to the biscuits. Gases will always move from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure. Always. This difference, this slope, is called a gradient, and it's the engine that drives everything. The best part? Your body doesn't have to spend any energy to make it happen. It's just physics.
So let's see this in action. The air you just breathed in, it floods your alveoli with oxygen, creating a really high pressure zone. Meanwhile, the blood showing up from the rest of your body has just dropped off all its oxygen to your cells, so it's arriving with super low oxygen pressure. So what do we got? A really, really steep downhill slope for that oxygen. It's like it's sitting at the top of a water slide. So what do you think happens next?
Exactly. The oxygen doesn't need to be pushed or pulled. It just
goes. It rushes across that paper-thin membrane from high pressure to low pressure, and boom, it jumps into the blood. And here's the really cool part. At the exact same time, the carbon dioxide, which is high pressure in the blood and low pressure in the lungs, is doing the complete opposite. It's zipping out of the blood so you can breathe it out. It's this perfect, beautiful two-way exchange.
But wait, how does all that oxygen get delivered to where it needs to go? I mean, once it's in the blood, it can't just float around. Well, it gets picked up by a special protein inside your red blood cells called hemoglobin. The easiest way to think about it is this. Hemoglobin is the oxygen taxi. Each one of your red blood cells is just packed with millions of these little taxis, and they're all just waiting to pick up oxygen and give it a ride to the rest of your body.
All right, so we've just gone on this wild microscopic journey. It's pretty amazing stuff, right? But why does understanding it actually matter in the real world? Well, it matters because when this super efficient system gets messed up, the consequences can be, well, pretty serious.
And just before we touch on that, I have to give you our standard disclaimer. Just remember, this explainer is purely for informational purposes. It is absolutely not medical advice. If you have any health concerns at all, please consult a healthcare professional.
Okay, so let's look at a couple of quick examples. Take pneumonia. An infection can cause fluid to build up in those little alveoli sacs. This makes that thin membrane way thicker. It's kind of like trying to have a conversation through a thick wall. It just slows everything down, making it much harder for oxygen to get across. Or a disease like emphysema, which actually damages the walls of the alveoli. They start to break down, which means you have way less surface area. There's just not as much space for the gas exchange to happen anymore.
So you see, when it comes right down to it, this whole process isn't really just about breathing. It's about living. That silent, constant stream of oxygen is what's fueling everything you do. It lets your brain think, your heart beat, your muscles move. It really is the fundamental power source for your entire body.
So when you put all the pieces together, the absolutely incredible efficiency of your lungs really just boils down to a handful of key design principles.
Let's run through them real quick. Number 1, a massive surface area, thanks to all those millions of alveoli. 2, an incredibly thin membrane, which means a super short diffusion path. 3, a steep pressure gradient, so the gases know exactly where to go, no questions asked. 4, a rich blood supply that's always on the move, whisking oxygen away to keep that gradient steep. And finally, number 5, the perfect oxygen taxi service, hemoglobin, ready to carry that precious cargo to every last cell in your body.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. This elegant, absolutely vital system works tirelessly, silently, in the background, every single moment of your life. It's a true marvel of biological engineering. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know how it all works, and you know just how delicate it can be, what can you do to protect it?